Hello and welcome to Chillin with Creatives, the podcast where me and my friends ramble about things we're passionate about. I'm Chillin, and today I'm joined by Mollystars. She makes long-form content on her YouTube channel, Mollystars, and uploads music to her Molly M YouTube channel. Welcome, Molly.
Hello.
Yeah, so you just released a video on your YouTube channel called DELTARUNE and the Fourth Wall, the Device Theory, Part 1 Survey Program.
Yeah, I released that on May 13th, 2023.
I've had many conversations with you about like creative stuff before, kind of the inspiration for this whole thing. So it makes sense why this is like the pilot episode, I guess you could call it. But like in terms of that video, right? I mean, just looking at so much DELTARUNE stuff, because I feel like the big, I mean, maybe it's different for you, but like I think such a big part of what makes something like creative for me, like where I get like my creativity is from viewing other things. So how is like you had to do a lot of research for like DELTARUNE. So how much has that like impacted your like creative like thinking?
Yeah, when I was making the DELTARUNE video, or really like when I'm making any video for the channel, DELTARUNE especially was like a big case where it definitely does tend to like impact a lot of like what I'm working on personally, because like
Okay.
I'm researching so much stuff about this game and I'm finding like all this stuff that I find really interesting. And I think like I like to think that like in a way when I'm working on a Mollystars video, I tend to kind of take bits of what I'm interested in and like sort of analyze them so that I can understand why it works and then apply that to whatever I'm doing, basically.
Okay,
And yeah, I think for like DELTARUNE especially, because of how like big that turned out, I've like definitely learned a lot about like that, just like how like other creators like tend to go about their process.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally. Like with Toby Fox, I think it's sort of a thing where over the years I've become sort of like you have that whole thing of like, oh my god, it's Toby Fox.
Yeah.
And then like throughout the years I've sort of like, as like people have been like, check out this Undertale code, I'm like, oh, Undertale was made by like a fucking noob. This is awesome. That's like me. I'm bad at this too. I'm bad at programming.
Yeah, that's definitely like a big thing that I like learned through like my experience with Undertale and DELTARUNE is that like I mean I've had to correct myself a few times on like future parts because of Toby's, like, as I like to call it, non-Euclidean programming, because there's just some parts that are like, oh, is this like related to something? No, that variable is just set to another index for like no reason. It has no reason to be set to like an index of like -1, but it is. So that's why it works that way. And it's like there's like a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, I mean, with Undertale especially, I've heard horror stories about that code. Thank God I'm not doing a whole series on that, because I would be suffering.
Like those Yandev videos where they're just breaking down his code for like 30 minutes.
I was like watching a stream from Pirate Software Thor, and he mentioned how like the Temi armor in that game, because like, you know, the price of it goes down like every time that you die, basically. But yeah, Toby just did a thing where apparently he has like 1 billion if statements for every single time you die, and it's just like lines and lines of if statements. I'm like, I'm just baffled. Like the more I learn of it, the more that I'm just like, man, you don't need to know programming to make a good game, I guess.
And yeah, I don't want to obviously, no, totally. That's a big thing that like Pirate Software will talk about, is like, the whole thing of like, you don't have to be a programmer to make a game. And no offense to Toby, because like I'm comparing his like 2013 programming to my current ability. His current 2021 DELTARUNE programming ability is way beyond me. Like, I'm lost. Like, I have no idea how to fucking do any of that.
Yeah, no, like when I've tried like reading through some of the code myself, there's definitely parts where I'm just like, okay, like I don't know for sure what this does. I just can only get like a general idea, compared to Undertale, where it was just sort of like, yeah, I know what this does. This is written very like this is beginner programming.
Yeah. He made this in like 2 years, 3 years, yeah.
I guess like in a way, like I could kind of tell that like his experience definitely improved, because it's like, I mean, like in just part 1, I spent like all that time talking about the file names and how everything was coded. So it's like, so I think I wouldn't be surprised if like his attention to detail in that probably like aided in like I guess like him improving his skill with that, or maybe he has another programmer helping him. For all I know,
because I mean maybe
yeah,
because Deltarune's team's a lot larger than Undertale, or is just generally larger than Undertale's.
Yeah,
where it was just Toby, Temmie, and some other like Magnolia Porter or other people who would do like GGDG, for instance. I talk about a lot of like Toby Fox code being similar to my code, and it's like the atrocious if statement thing that you mentioned, because that's very like the first thing you think of when you think a lot of if statements is like Yandev.
yeah.
And I have one of those in Traversal.
I do.
I have the.
I do think I remember you mentioning this to me
Mm-hmm.
once.
Yeah. The way the code for the roses or the tulips, they used to be roses. The way the code for the tulips on the first island. If you've never played Traversal and you're listening to this, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, it's the code for that is very fucky. Because I don't know how else to do it. I would welcome a tiny build like helper to help like clean up the code. I would not be like, nuh-uh, nope, like Yandev did. But yeah, I'm also, I think it's very, I make the Yandere comparisons like in jest to myself, but at the same time, I'm sitting here with the game that I've technically been working on since 2018. I want to get this shit done.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, to be fair, honestly, like, a lot of your work on the game has been literally just, like, optimizing it and making it, like, as accessible as possible. You've been, like, focusing entirely on, like, quality of life, practically, aside from, like, future content.
I mean, I think that's an issue with my game, specifically, is because, like, it's such a weird thing. If you've never heard of Traversal and you've never touched it at all, and you're like, she hates this thing. An issue with Traversal is, like, I will, like, because the current build of the game, the current GameMaker file, was initially created in 2019. So a lot of the time I'm working with my old shitty code. And at this point, I'm too far into development to, like, jump back and, like, let me just start from scratch. I'm not fucking doing that. But you know, I just want to get it done because I have other things I want to do after Traversal, but I have to do Traversal first. In terms of, I guess, with your videos, is, like, because you have the kind of Deltarune videos. Is there, like, do you want to kind of get those done so you can work on the next thing? And is the next thing, I guess, but or do you just like, okay, I gotta get part 2 done, and then part 3 done, and then part 4 done, and then I have no idea.
I do have, like, a good bit of a plan, I will say, because, I mean, whether or not the video, like, ends up, like, doing well, which, like, I forgot to mention it earlier, but, like, yeah, I uploaded that video, and it did, like, stupidly well, and
oh, yeah.
I was...
Congrats, by the way, on the, like, I'm reaching, like, what, like, was it 2,000 or something?
Right, let me check right now. Because I guess it's way more than that now.
If this takes a second... Yeah, if it takes a second, if this video takes a second to come out, it's gonna be like, what?
Right
I
now,
misspelled your name.
Right now on May 31st, 2023, 8:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the video is at 39,753 views, and I am at 3.82 thousand subscribers.
Yeah, with 2 videos, by the way.
Literally because of the Deltarune video specifically. The Backrooms video did like decent. It got like 6,000.
It's currently sitting at 8.6K.
Yeah, and it was at like, I think it got like maybe 4,000 or 5,000 at its peak, and I got like just shy of 100 subscribers. Mm-hmm. This video, the thing is, I will admit, like I was expecting the video to do like pretty well because I put so much work into it. I started working on Deltarune in the Fourth Wall in like September last year. Because of the sweepstakes and because it effectively did an ARG, I'm just like, okay, I have no fucking excuse. I gotta do something. So, so I started working on the script in like October. Fun fact: this was originally supposed to be a Halloween video.
From last year?
Yes. And then I thought, oh, maybe I could get it out for the holidays. Nope. It became way too large scope. Again, it was supposed to be just one big thing, and then it turned into a 5-hour-long video. I'm like, I'm not exporting a 5-hour video. That's gonna kill my computer probably. But that all that aside, I uploaded it like a few weeks ago. I was expecting it to do like pretty decently because like, okay, I put so much work into it. I know the production value's gone way up from the Backgrounds video. I'm pretty happy with it. If it does poorly, then like that's just astronomically bad odds on my part. That's just luck. Like, but like what happens is I upload the video, I promote it in a few places, and then I see all these like Deltarune theorists shouting out the video. I know a few smaller ones shouted it out. I know a smaller one, Bricks, pinged me in another server to point out a mistake I made. But regardless, it was linked in that server, and they found it through recommendation. Weasel shouted it out. Andrew Cunningham shouted it out. I think Spooky Dude also did. My boss, Half-Bred Chaos, did it recently. I think Jaru also did. Pretty much all of them shouted it out. And I got comments that were just like, hey, this might be the best Deltarune analysis video I made to date, that like anyone's made to date. I'm just like, what? Because I'm just rambling about the funny video game. I knew this stuff was lesser discussed, but holy shit. Like,
no, sure, yeah.
Like I did it, like I joked about it once, but it was just like, is it possible to accidentally make a video too good? Did I make something historic on accident? Like, I try not to stroke my own ego a lot because it's like I think with fandoms, especially in theorizing, it's like you shouldn't take all of the credit because it's ultimately a community effort. But it's just like the fact that I made something that like really piqued that many people's interest is just like I couldn't have predicted that. And for the video to kind of like completely take me from like 100 subs to now being monetized. So yeah, it did like stupidly well. And I'm still processing it, but I am kind of like getting a little more used to it. And hopefully I'm going to do more soon in that regard.
Right.
But I will say, like, to get back on topic about what comes after that. I mean, yeah, obviously right now, the main plan is I want to start working on parts 2 and 3 because I will say, even if the videos didn't do well, I was going to finish that fucking thing because by like the time I made the update video like some months ago, I was just like, okay, the script's done. The audio is like in progress. I may as well just do it. Everything is there. It'll take a while, but I'm going to finish it anyway. And I guess I'm glad now that like there's more of an audience for it now. So So I'm not just kind of like uploading into the void, basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was kind of mentioning to this. I was mentioning this to you before we started recording, but like with like traversal, for instance, I don't like it'd be neat if that did really well, but it's not like my intention. Like traversal, it's cool people find it, but I don't want people to be like. I don't want to be known as the person who made traversal, I guess. Yeah. I want to be known as the person who made the things after traversal.
It's like on one hand, it's like you can't really control when you blow up. You might make something and it blows up out 100%. Of nowhere, but like I definitely feel that. Like traversal might be one of those things where it's like you want to just make a cool thing and then move on to something that like you want to put your all into, and you want to put more of your stock into doing well.
If we're keeping the Undertale Toby Fox thing going, it would be like instead of him being known as like, oh yeah, Toby Fox, like who made Undertale, it'd be like, oh my god, the Halloween hack guy made a game.
Oh god, in Toby's case, that would suck. I imagine. Jesus.
Oh shit, yeah, because of the fucking Endonuts fight. Yeah. I
will say, I did notice someone mentioned that like, because I said something about Toby like having this weird fascination with meta storytelling, and I will say like I do remember that even the Halloween hack had a bit of that because there was some like allusion to how like that hack had some like it was basically just like what Deltarune has going on with your choices don't matter, but in the Halloween hack it was more so like, hey, even the choices that you think you are making yourself, you're not really making them because someone already laid it out for you. So it's like I do remember that concept apparently kind of like translating itself into Deltarune in a weird way, which I find really interesting. So like I could give it credit for that, but then again, that's the Halloween hack. Dear God.
Yeah.
It'd be like if I was well known for the insane reviews, which like maybe back then that's what I would have wanted, but now it's like no, that is its own time capsule in a pastime. It might still be relevant to other things in the future, who knows, but I made that for myself and before I had as much experience as I have now. So like I definitely feel that where it's like traversal might be just a cool thing you want to do, and then from then on it's definitely just like, hey, there's projects that I know I want people to see for sure.
Yeah. I definitely I feel like I would have spent so much less time on traversal if I hadn't thought about that idea more. Because I obviously I have the thought like, yeah, obviously you want people to check out like I don't want this thing to blow up, right? I don't want this to be the thing that's super like popular.
Yeah.
But also I forgot in that I had to make it good.
Yeah.
It was just kind of dog shit, and I was just like, I'll put it out. Before I realized, oh right, I have to kind of make that like I have to make it decent. And like because whilst I don't want people to find it, if it does blow up, I don't want people to be like, man, this game sucks, and so people wouldn't check out the next one.
Yeah, that's kind of why like the later you blow up, the better, because it's like if you blow up for something you made early on, then people are gonna be like, oh well, what if the next thing sucks or something like that. I don't imagine most people are though, because it's like I think if people know that it's your first thing, I think if they have like the goodwill, then they'll be like, okay, they'll probably improve. But like, yeah, I totally get that. It's like preferable to not have your first thing blow up for sure.
Yeah.
Although I mean, Undertale blew up, so like, who fucking knows?
Yeah. It's this Earthbound fan game, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think I do notice that as a common trap with like game development that I've seen is like when you're getting into it, it's like you'll be very focused on trying to make something for the hell of it, or you want to make your dream thing, but then or this is especially if you make something with like a big narrative to it, where it's like, oh, I want people to see the narrative, but you don't realize until later down the line that it's like, oh, if the game isn't good, then they're not going to see the narrative. They're going to stop playing, so it's like it doesn't matter. So I should probably just make a good game first. I do notice that as like a common like thing I see some developers kind of go through.
Yeah, I think it's really funny because of how long I've been working on traversal. I have a Google Doc that has every different version of the game's story throughout the years. It's interesting to see how it's evolved, but like that's sort of a thing with creating things, is like the longer you spend working on something, the more developed it'll get, but you don't want to spend too long working on something because then you don't get to work on other things.
Yeah. It gets like difficult, especially when you're managing like different projects at a time, like more than one. It could definitely it's like sometimes you gotta like try to juggle a bunch of projects because like you don't want to spend too long on one thing, so you break away from that into another thing, but you don't want to spend too long there either, so you're kind of just like ricocheting all over the place creatively constantly.
Yeah, that's
kind of like the state that I tend to be in because I'm always working on like something, at least one project, but usually more than one. And yeah, there's like, I mean, right now the priority is videos because like the channel is doing well, so I gotta like try to I try to look at growing a channel as like growing a plant, and now that it's actually growing, now that it's growing, I have to actually water it and stuff. So I gotta like kind of look after that for a bit, but like there's definitely like still the urge to kind of like work on other stuff because like like creatively, if you work on one thing for way too long, and then like your brain just gets really exhausted. It needs like to be like refreshed every now and then, I feel. Yeah. At least in my case.
Yeah, I mean like YouTube's sort of a thing where like I like, especially like you kind of have to, I mean just online content in general, you kind of have to be like there when the fire is hot.
Yeah,
which is really like draining.
Yeah, like it's like Ideally, I would love to be able to like upload stuff like on a schedule, like every month, like guaranteed there will
Right.
be a video. But because of how long some videos tend to take, and also, I mean, the thing is, I have a plan for bigger videos. I know because right now it's Deltarune parts 2 and 3, and even
Right.
after that, I have. I mean, after that, I have the Backrooms video, like the part 2 to that analysis that I want to do, which will be that'll be on a whole other level for sure.
Mhm.
And even then, after I finish those, I have one more thing I've like been debating doing or something related to it, but I'm not sure yet. But like when it comes to smaller videos, I'm just like, I don't know, because like I mean, I have some ideas for Deltarune like videos that are like aren't an hour or so long that I could probably just like kind of knock out that like aren't related to meta stuff for once, but like aside from that, yeah, like that's the most difficult part for me is it's hard for me to like consistently get video ideas because like especially if my brain isn't like geared towards YouTube, it's like I kind of just
Yeah.
I kind of just don't care. I want to work on like the project.
Yeah. My videos are always whenever I make a video, it's always just like my most recent video is just I started recording because I thought it was funny. Anytime I try to plan a YouTube video, it doesn't go through. It always fails. But
Yeah.
yeah, sorry if there was a weird cut there. We had to do a cut there. And it's not the first cut we've done. I think that's but probably just the one that's still going to sound the weirdest.
Yeah,
Anyway,
sorry. I got jump scared by your ringtone. It's all good.
Yeah. you got killed by Freddy Fazbear. But the but like in terms of video ideas, like what? Because my video ideas, I don't really. They're just kind of out of nowhere. But where did like in terms of your channel, where do those ideas kind of come from?
I think
You just like
in essence.
I'll let you talk.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I think like I mean, for the Mollystars channel, my video ideas honestly just come from like, hey, what's the current brain rot that I have? What's the thing about that brain rot that I can kind of like pick into for a while? Okay, I'll do a video on that. Right now, that thing is Deltarune, obviously. And like even after I finish parts 2 and 3 and like that whole series, it's like there's still smaller topics I could talk about. The characters are really interesting. There's still some other meta stuff that isn't necessarily connected to the meta narrative, but I still think is just kind of weird, so I can make a video on that thing. And, stuff of that sort, but like maybe in the future I'll make like I mean, yeah, it just depends like what I can't shut up about at the moment. so like in the future it could be like a whole other thing. Once I'm like in the I think once I'm like back in the like mode to do like Backrooms stuff, for instance, like then I'll make a video like as a sequel to the Backrooms video and stuff like that sort. So it's just really like it's really just more so like I think like the way that my ideas kind of keep themselves from like losing steam is that I keep having interest in the idea because of the thing that it's associated with. Although I will admit like the main thing that kind of makes me struggle with my video ideas is I mean this was like last year because I tried to upload videos last year as well aside from the Backrooms video, but those didn't work out. The main ones that I was trying to do last year were like a Yume Nikki video, specifically like a Yume Nikki online multiplayer video because I was fascinated at the idea of it. And there was a TF2 there was like a TF2 mockumentary video I wanted to do. But the issue that I ran into with both of those videos, and this is the issue I have in general with my videos, is I can't shut up. I can't shut up, or otherwise I keep getting too much stuff to work with, and it just overwhelms me. I'm just like, okay, shit, I want to work on something else. This is too much. Like, I'm losing interest. I can't really focus on this. Like, and I think it's because, like, back then, I didn't bother to kind of, like, sit down and just be like, okay, what will it take to make this video? So, like, because with the Deltarune video, I didn't do that. With the Deltarune video, I was just like, I want to make a Deltarune thing. Just analyzing meta stuff. But then, like, I didn't sit down and be like, okay, so I have to look through some stuff in Undertale, specifically everything about Gaster. Then I have to look through everything in the survey program demo and chapter 1 and how that differs in the 2021 demo. Then I have to look at that demo in chapter 2 and what's new in there. Then I have to look at the sweepstakes, and then I have to somehow connect all of those things into one theory at the end. Once I map it out like that, then it's like, oh shit, That is a lot. But I didn't do that back then. So it's like I couldn't have known that, like, oh god, this is going to become a lot bigger than I originally intended in scope. I think I think the Backrooms video, at least, like, I think that idea worked out because it's like it was a big idea, but it was easier for me to visualize because it was a web series, so I could just like I could just like focus on it on like each individual video and be like, oh, okay, this will take me like a solid hour or so. Like, okay, like I can see that I'm ready for that. So I think like, sorry, I have to catch my breath sometimes.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, like I think like the main thing I'm trying to learn now with future ideas is whenever I get one, I have to just sit down and be like, okay, what will it take to make this idea work? What will I have to cover? How broad is the scope of it? And then I can categorize it into either a big video or a smaller video. And that's kind of like how I'm trying to organize it. So basically it just kind of comes down to like, okay, what is the checklist for the video? And if it's more than like 5 or 3 or like more than like 3 to 5 items, then I have to like put it like in the back burner until I'm ready for it.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, even like you mentioned the sweepstakes, and even like the sweepstakes, which is such a convoluted thing.
Yeah, like
mm-hmm.
I am excited to cover that because like there's because the thing is, aside from making the Deltarune series, I was one of the people who was like archiving everything on Twitter, like as it was going on. Yeah. So I was like there to see it, and
it was so exciting to see live.
I woke up and I saw the blog post. I was like, what the fuck? I had to get up out of bed. Like it was like cartoonish how quickly I got up out of bed to like archive everything because I'm like, oh god, what if it gets deleted after? What if like I don't know, the site goes down or something? Like I have to do something. Like people have to see this.
What was like, okay, this isn't really a creative question, so sorry audience, but like I'm just curious. What was like your favorite like of the things? Because obviously the whole Noel's Spampton connection was pretty funny, or pretty good. But
I did find it funny that people somehow took away from that Noelle was Spampton's mom. I did find that like assumption really funny. My favorite,
it's a really funny headcanon.
My favorite thing from the sweepstakes, one of my favorite was the Spampton sightings page, where it has like a deal gone wrong playing, and it's just like these black and white photos of Spampton on a toilet. It's really good. I liked that one a lot.
Yeah, I love the it's not my favorite, but I'm a big fan of You Just Got Lancered.
Yeah, that one's really good too.
The entire vibe of the entire thing being like a parody of like early 2000s like blogs and shit.
Yeah.
And like websites.
Yeah, it was such a cool thing to kind of like dig into. I really like how they kind of went for that event, and like I consider the sweepstakes like a chapter 2.5 pretty much with how much info we got, honestly.
Yeah. It's the entirety of chapter 3,
yeah. Oh my god. I'm getting excited about it again because I remember the sweepstakes finale and how like okay, so the sweepstakes finale, that was made by RTVS, Radio TV Solutions.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna mention this in part 2, but I still get baffled at that fucking part because like the thing is, they held this like squad stream on Twitch. Like a bunch of their like channels started like streaming at once, like 30 minutes before the sweepstakes finale. But like I remember like before then, they started like streaming like 30 minutes before the event, and it was all just like this cryptic bullshit. Like it was just like the static and like random wingding signs and like some pictures of like a guy's face and a random names that like it was nonsensical. There was like nothing to it, but then they throw up a link at the end. I type it in. And I see the sweepstakes finale, and I hadn't felt such like a rush of like excitement since like the chapter 2 announcement because I'm like, what the fuck? How did they do it?
I'd like to think that that the sweepstakes is like required reading for chapter 3. Not actually, but just
I don't think it's required for chapter 3, and I think I think it's more so foreshadowing for it while like they're working on it. But I do think it's definitely it provides a lot of really interesting context, especially in like the blog post about Chris and Susie. Those because those give us actual insight into Chris especially, and I'm just like, what is going on with them? Those are like our first actual like insights into how they act on their own. So like that is something I do want to dig into as well.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, but I think aside from like all the funny pages, honestly, I think my favorite ones have to be either the chair or Damn You Tenna, because the emotions I felt experiencing both of those pages were just completely surreal. Like,
oh, dude, the desk page was so funny. The guitar
that fucked me up. That it fucked me up even more because I was just like, that's one of the few pages that you can't actually like access through like a link, but you get there because of the December page. And the thing is, I think the intended way was that like, because it's like a fake 404, so it says check your spelling. So then you type des instead, and then you get there. Which if that was the intention, I think that was like really clever. But it's just like, man, that page is fucked up.
Also, I just realized we've been talking about Deltarune this whole time, and not
that's about
creative stuff.
Yeah, that's about naturally what's gonna happen when I'm in the middle of my brain rot. This is what I mean.
No, you're fine. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. No. Okay, well, your music. Let's talk about your music. You've been making music for like a while, right?
Yeah, I started making music around like 2017. I've made a lot of songs and albums under like a different label. The label was Yevi. I've kind of left that label for the time being, and like the songs associated with it, because it was from a completely different like headspace compared to now. Yeah, but now I do have to get back to working on music because I've been so focused on video stuff, but it is something I've been trying to hone in on this year a bit more, even if like mostly in private.
No, sure. I'm like, I know your music. I mean, I just know your music generally because we're friends, but also I know your music because of like Michelle's streams.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, she uses my music in those streams.
Like I have a whole collection of your music downloaded. A good 50% of it samples copyrighted music, so I can't use half of it.
Yeah. That's the main reason. That's one of the main reasons I moved away from that label, because a lot of the music from then was like, I did not care about putting it on streaming or anything. I just wanted to make stuff that was sampled. But now I'm like a bit more mindful about it.
Well, like, what got you into like making music specifically? Like, any inspirations or?
I think like I mean, honestly, I don't know if like anything in specific inspired me to get into music, but I think it was ultimately just like I know in 2017 what got me into it was I had like this. I think it was like I was starting to get more of an interest in music around that time of year, and at that time, so I was like, oh, and you know, I have GarageBand on my fucking MacBook. I have this like old old keyboard. I could try like messing around in it, and yeah, it kind of just started there. I just started by literally messing around and like not taking it too seriously, and I made a few albums like from 2017 to 2019. Yeah, that was like the Lustful Trash trilogy. In that time, I made those albums and stuff, and yeah, it was ultimately just a mix of like me wanting to make stuff and being inspired by certain artists and the such. I mean, I think back then, I do know a big inspiration back then in those days was Joji, but specifically his like older,
totally.
Specifically his like before he got onto 88 Rising, like his Chloe Burbank stuff, because I was just enamored with the production like from that time. It was like weirdly like soft, but also really like kind of grimy and like rough in like just like the perfect way. So a lot of my older works were kind of like inspired from that kind of emotional bag. But now, I mean, I tend to kind of make stuff with a bit more of an. I mean, it depends if I'm working on OST stuff or just independent stuff. But either way, a lot of my inspirations now kind of come from a lot of different places, honestly. But I mean, I don't know. Right now, I have brain rot for like the almond break. That's like the way I would describe my style right now, is I'm like getting a bit more into that sphere of music production. I'm trying to get more into like kind of D&B breakcore, fucking intelligent ass music quoted by Pakita, Pakita Ultra Kill. So yeah, so kind of like stuff in that general realm. So that's kind of like where I am right now. I'm trying to kind of get more into that style. And yeah, it could change in the future, really. It kind of depends on like what I'm listening to a lot at the moment.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
I do have a lot of like unreleased music from like 2020, 2021, roughly, that kind of like leaned a bit more into like my previous like Yeti aesthetic. That was before I kind of had the Mollystars label. But but like yeah, like I think really what got me into it was just like, hey, I like making music. I want to give a crack at it, and I've just kind of gotten gradually better at it, I would hope, over the years. And now I'm trying to make completely inscrutable things with those skills.
Got it. Yeah. 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 No, yeah, like, your music's good. I don't know if I've said that before. I feel like I probably should have if I haven't, but yeah.
Thank you.
I feel like I've said that before. I feel like that's not the first time I've said that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty fucked up if that was the first time I said that.
No, I think I remember you saying that you liked I'm good. I think I remember you saying that, at least.
No, yeah, it's like I'm a big fan of the of like I'm a fan of like the vibe, you know, because like you said Joji and it clicked. Like yeah, it reminds me very much of like what I know of Joji, and what I know of Joji is like early stuff.
Yeah.
So like yeah.
Yeah, that was like like back then a lot of my music like was inspired by that, but now it's kind of more into likes of like, I mean, like just like whatever like kind of more like underground-ish DMB breakcore whatever artist I'm listening to, because that's like the main thing I tend to listen to now.
Got it.
Or not the main thing, but one of them, because I'm trying to get more into making like, I mean, I think right now the style I'm trying to aim for is, it's like lo-fi, but also really elaborate, but also a lot of distortion, but it's also still clear despite that. But it kind of just sounds like really claustrophobic.
You said grimy in terms of like you started like grimy and like rough in terms of like Joji music, and I think you kind of score that market. I guess.
Thank you.
I guess sounded very uncertain. I just
you
mentioned it was your early stuff. I didn't know if that was still what you're going for, and if it is what you're going for, you're doing a good job. And if it isn't, sorry to break it to you.
Yeah, no. Back then, I think it is like a solid part of my style now. So now it's just a matter of me kind of like expanding upon it. And I mean, I think the main thing now is I'm trying to kind of like lean away from doing samples, both because I don't want to cause any like copyright issues, and also because I want to see what I can do without like sampling. What is my limit that I'm able to just completely make things on my own? Because I love sampling, but I don't want to rely on it too much either. So it's like so it's more so like I'm trying to like see just what I'm capable of there for the time being.
No, yeah. Like making music, I mean, I've sort of like, obviously I don't really do much sampling, but like my music is very, I make a melody, right? But then I've really been struggling up until I think recently with overuse of a single melody. Because of the kind of digital nature of it, I would just copy and paste like a melody from one song to another. And try to edit it like that, as opposed to making something original.
Yeah, for me, I kind of have the opposite issue. I keep trying to do something new every single time, to the point that I'm just like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to have a style. Like I can like be a little bit consistent. Like, you know, if I want to be.
The music that inspires me, just the music I listen to, I realized, because there's such a wide variety. I don't know how to describe it, and then I realized a couple days ago. Oh, I know how to describe it. So if I disagree with this in like a week, then fine.
Yeah.
But like the music I listen to, it's not like, oh, it's a specific genre. I realized that the way to describe it is music that would make a good YouTube outro, alongside music that would be good for like animation memes. And that's my. It's such a wide variety of things. However, you get the vibe.
Yeah. No, I do get what you mean, though. Honestly, that's kind of based.
And so I suppose that's like my inspiration in terms of making music. So
yeah, I think like, I mean, I guess I don't have like a specific vibe I try to go for with making music. I just have a style that I know I'm like trying to expand on. Though currently, because of what I'm working on, it does make me tend to kind of like lean more into that like very high energy kind of thing. or
Mhm.
otherwise like if it's not high energy, there is a lot of distortion and it sounds very like kind of boxed in, like it's trying to kind of like break out of something. And that's
Mhm.
kind of like the vibe I'm trying to go for, like either way.
I get that, especially when there's like repetitiveness in your music.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a yeah.
Yeah, or it's like I'm always
It's
constantly
neat.
trying to kind of like modify what's going on anyway, so it's like maybe I'm trying to like mess with the panning or something, or I'm adding like a new effect onto it or whatever. It's always like kind of like it's like repetitive, but also it's like constantly shifting at the same time. It's kind of like what I'm trying to
Got it.
go for there.
Yeah, no, you have a very like distinct style. Um, I'm limiting myself to, well, not limiting myself, I suppose, but like I'm keeping myself in using MuseScore, um, which is like a notation software that
Yeah.
can be used to make music, and because the new update or MuseScore 4, I use MuseScore 3. MuseScore 4 doesn't really have support for like sound fonts and stuff, or in the same
Yeah.
way that MuseScore 3 has. So I'm still using MuseScore 3, but also I realized I should just keep using MuseScore 3 because that's the, if I had to put it in like a phrase, that's like the sound of traversal is this the way that MuseScore 3 like processes the sound fonts I use.
Yeah, because I know with traversal you have like that kind of more like it's not very like kind of like distorted or anything. It's just like a lot of like
Mhm.
natural sounds to it. I notice.
Yeah, it's just
It's
instruments.
like
Uh,
even the sound effects are very like you make the sound effects yourself with like very like basic objects and
yeah,
stuff.
it's like, oh, I need a tin can.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like the thing is even you could just put that in the game as is, and it works kind of with the
Yeah,
aesthetic. Like it's meant to be like very like kind of simple, and
yeah,
and I
that's sort
and
of
I,
just
and
how
I
I
do
do
I do
everything.
find that really cool.
Thank you,
Yeah,
appreciate that.
because it's not a kind of vibe. Because I feel like when people are making games, they often try to go for like the game vibe. They're like adding like they're like making it all like bit crushed, or like they're kind of doing like something with
Mm.
like synths and stuff. You tend to go for a very like natural sound, which is like for a game of that kind, it's definitely not something I see a lot. And I do find that a really like kind of like interesting like kind of curveball from like what you would expect out of a game of that sort.
Something it's I mean if I like with making like traversal, I mean even just making anything, but with traversal specifically, is it's like the types of games I'm inspired by are all like non-traditional games, right? Like
Yeah.
if I had, okay, obviously there's a ton of inspirations. My entire background of playing video games has been my inspiration, but if I had to pin it down to like three games that I would say are like the core inspiration, or I guess four games that I'd say are the core inspirations for no, I'll say three. Core inspirations for like traversal. It'd probably be like um Undertale and Heartbound, just because, just general like inspiration to make games and stuff.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be a weird one. Skylanders Giants.
Oh yeah, I do remember you mentioning something about that actually.
Hmm. Yeah, it was the first console game I played. And it's sort of I sort of like the vibe of the game has I haven't really played it in a while, but like I've seen like playthroughs by like the devs talking about stuff, and it's like, or some of the devs, I suppose, not the entire dev team.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just seeing like, oh hey, like, like watching kind of that the vibe that game gave me stuck with me, and I sort of use it to get that sort of aesthetic inspiration. But yeah, no, a lot. uh, and it was something that happens when you're inspired by things like Undertale, and your inspiration comes from mostly non-traditional um games that like aren't like other games. Is your game just ends up being not like other games?
Yeah, like yeah, I think it's such a like an interesting time to like get into game development, because it's like it's at a point where I've noticed there are a lot of games now that not all of them necessarily break the fourth wall, or like super meta, but
Mhm.
they make you think about game design a little bit more. Like
Or even just how we perceive games.
yeah, like I mean Undertale obviously.
Yeah,
One
that's like the
shot,
big one.
yeah, one shot's another really big
Mm.
one. Like that game does a lot in that regard. I'm scared is one that I don't see a lot of people mention, but that is like the one of like the key ones to me. There's a lot of other
Mm.
ones. Inscription definitely kind of does a lot in that regard. Even games like Omori, they're not really meta, but they kind of have this. They kind of like take advantage of the medium to kind of mess with you, and
I think that's such a like, because I mean, I don't know if the same goes for you, but like, I like to make stories, and then I make that story in a way that like feels right for that, or I base the medium around what feels right. So like Traversal could have been, if Traversal was slightly different, it could have been a book, it could have been an animation, but I think it makes more sense for it to be a game, because I think with games, such a fascinating thing is flavor text and optional routes that allow you to explore so much more about a story.
Yeah, like I think the most fascinating thing to me about games as a medium is that like it's like this. There's this thing where like games are like interactive in like such a unique way where it's kind of like almost like you're kind of stepping into like a whole other world for a bit. You're kind of living in a whole other headspace for like a little bit, and you get to kind of just like soak yourself in an entirely different like world for a bit in a way that I think other mediums don't really like. Not that they don't try to do that, but I think with the games it's like so utterly hands-on that it's like it just does it really seamlessly, and I really like how currently with so many games that kind of make you think about game design, it definitely kind of like highlights that a lot more about it, and kind of comments on that a lot more, and I think definitely like it's like like I tend to do like the same thing with stories where I try to think of like, okay, what's the best medium for it, and how do I kind of like wrap the story around that medium, and I mean like I tend to think about this for some of my older projects, like I mean the Insane Reviews and some like older stuff from like years ago, like that was mainly like a web series and in film and everything, but I kind of think about sometimes where I'm like, I could have totally made it into a webcomic or like an animated thing, like with like where it goes in terms of lore and everything. I could.
No clue where we left off. Sorry, we had to do another cut. Fuck it.
We were talking about music, I think.
Oh shit, music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I'll touch on something I want to talk about. You mentioned that like my music is something. You mentioned that like you have the opposite problem. Where like you want to make something sort of original, but the thing is, I don't want. It's a thing where I really struggled with reusing the same stuff. Like it was the Chillin equivalent of sampling. But then I only recently like when I was at school, I didn't have all of my files with me, but I still had MuseScore. And so I made stuff there without having those other files to rely on and copy and paste from, and I was able to make like original shit. And I'm like, oh my god, and that sort of reinvigorated my confidence. You were playtesting Traversal recently, and this is in the current release. If you've played it, Outland Island's music has been the same since 2020, and I've continuously struggled to make it less repetitive because it was always the same, literally 4 bars repeated over and over again. And I was able to add some stuff at the end to kind of make it feel less repetitive. And I only did that now, and I had the actual confidence to do that because of maybe the past year of being able to make stuff whilst not relying on having to copy and paste.
I remember noticing it when I playtested it, and I thought it was a really neat addition. It's like a small change, but it's like it definitely adds a lot to that island.
This isn't like an average video, but if it was, I would overlay, because I recorded you playing through. I would overlay me getting really excited at you noticing it was different.
you got really excited at it. I thought it was really funny.
I just changed it. Yeah.
There's I do have to get back to making music because I did like release one song this year so far. That was I'm Good. I made a few other songs, but I have to keep those for personal projects. And I mean, again, I would make more if it weren't for the DELTARUNE videos. That's like my main priority because I just want those done. I want those out of my head already. So once those are done, I'm going to be focusing on music a bit more and maybe some smaller Mollystars videos, like stuff that won't take me, like, I don't know, 8 months to make, hopefully.
Right.
But here's
totally,
hoping.
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'm able to use the soundtrack for Traversal to score some of my videos. So, like, you can make the excuse to yourself if you need to give yourself a reason to make music that it's for the background of videos.
I could, yeah. That is a thought that I've had because
trick yourself into making music.
Yeah, I could honestly do that. It's been something I'm considering because like now that I'm monetized and everything, copyright is going to be something I'm already really wary of it. Like whenever I try to finish a video, I always tend to like upload it unlisted somewhere else altogether, just so that it doesn't like affect the main channel and see if it like does anything. So like I am very wary about like, oh hey, is this getting hit for this song or whatever? But I mean now especially I'm gonna be more wary about it. And I mean yeah, honestly I could just start making my own background music every now and then because like I may as well. I have the skills to do it. I mentioned being able to make music. I may as well just kind of flex those muscles as well because I think it would be funny.
I don't know if the same goes for an hour and a half long video, but I mean, like with the videos I make, I can use a majority, at least like I just have to have 6 or like 5 songs, and I can reuse them throughout the video. Yeah,
no, I could just I could probably apply that to like a longer video in like certain instances. Like it could be a mix of my own music and other people's music, probably.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm always like putting the name of the song, like pretty much almost all the time whenever I'm using one, just so that people know what it is.
I'm gonna mention something to you after the recording. It's not like some big secret. It was just something that was almost part of the backing tracks for the latest AI video. But I just found that video was better without any music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll show something afterwards. It's don't worry, viewers, you're not missing out on anything. It's just a fun little tidbit that I want to share with Molly.
Yeah, I did like the AI video, by the way. It was really good.
Oh yeah, thanks.
I'm very sorry that your mentioning of me in that video made you subject yourself to your own brain rot, basically.
Yeah. Just like, oh my god, the fucking here's my Deltarune theory. It was so funny.
Like the fact that you were just like, please stop talking about this, and it kept going. It kept going.
Yeah. Just for the record, if there's any Deltarune theory that you should give a shit about, it is Molly's. Go check it out if you haven't. We're gonna wrap up soon, but I just want to circle back to something I said earlier, which was sort of like I was talking about how I want to finish Traversal, so I can get to work on the other stuff. And we sort of talked about it. I don't think we actually got like an answer. And I don't want to. This is gonna make it sound like I'm like an interviewer who's like, "Hey, Tom Holland, so what happens after Spider-Man 3?" No, but what's the what's next for the channel after the Deltarune theory? Obviously, you kind of mentioned it's just sort of. I should let you talk. Sorry,
yeah,
my bad.
No, you're
what's
good.
Next?
You're good. You're good. Yeah, right now after the Deltarune videos are done, I won't give like a specific date on when those will be finished, but once those are done, I mean, the plan will be probably I'm going to take a bit of downtime to kind of just recover from how long that project has taken me, but I might pump out like a few smaller videos, and I do still have the sequel to the Backrooms video that I want to do eventually, and another thing, but honestly, like especially with another announcement that I have coming up soonish.
Ooh? I think I know what this is. You mentioned it before we start recording. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But after that announcement, I might. I mean, it'll be I'll probably have to just basically like mix videos with my personal projects. So I'm gonna be probably spending a little bit of that downtime just working on those projects and looking into them a little bit more, seeing what I can make of them, and. Once I feel up and ready to discuss something again, it'll be probably either just like smaller videos about Deltarune or whatever I'm interested in, or like one of the other bigger video ideas, so probably like the Backrooms one. But that's about the plan right now. Hopefully, I mean, the goal really is just, the plan will be just more content, and I'm not going to take like 10 months to make a video again. Let's try to avoid that, hopefully, but that is about the
maybe
plan.
11 months this time, actually. Maybe 12.
Maybe like a year. Fuck it, maybe a decade.
Honestly, a century could be good.
Yeah, like Toby Fox said, like just assume like the next project is always like 99 years from now, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
The time will fly by.
The chapter 3 is coming out in 99 years. He mentioned.
Yeah, like, you know, like
part of the sweepstakes. Actually, it was actually, you were going to mention it in your theory. You're talking about this after or before they were recording that. That was actually like the thesis of your of the fourth wall, that chapter 3 is going to take another 48 years to come out.
Yeah, that's true. I think
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's actually like all in real time. I think Gaster is living on the same timeline as us, and waiting a billion years is part of the meta narrative. It's true.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, Toby Fox has like this knack for making like really meta stories. So yeah, I think that's probably it. Yeah, no, like I completely. I mean, I don't really do like long form videos, but I know Tom Scott. I know Tom Scott has talked about making like long videos. He'll make a long video, and then hate that video, hate making long videos by the end of that, like the end of production of that video, like post production, and and then the cycle, much like pregnancy, he will forget in a year, and then be like, I'm gonna do another this like large project, and then realizes, oh my fucking god, no. Not again.
Yeah.
At the end of making that.
Yeah, no, that's me. That's literally just me. Like I'm just I'm never gonna do this again. Then I give it another like 6-7 months, and there we go. I'm back onto making the next stupidly large scale thing that probably will happen again, for all I know. So I was just gonna say like like I think part of the meta narrative, like in like 2095, Toby Fox is gonna be visiting every fan's deathbed, and he's gonna be giving like a like a shitty like CD-ROM of chapter 3 on it.
Yeah, play it, my child. I like the idea that every Deltarune fan is going to die on in 2090. Was it 2095, 2099?
Every Deltarune fan will simultaneously explode on December 25th, 2095 at 5:34 a.m. Mark.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like a multiple
date.
of 6 or something, so like Gaster or some shit.
Yeah.
All right. That was I don't know if this worked. Audience, I guess you guys decide if this was a fun format or if this blew ass. Either way, I'm gonna make 2 more of these. This being the first of 3. So
this was a first for both of us. So we're just I thought it would just be a cool opportunity, and I'm really glad to be on here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I just want to give I just like the idea that my friends have like a platform to talk about the shit that they're working on and stuff. And I mean, speaking of giving you a platform to talk about your shit you're working on, promote your channel. Go ahead. You have it's, I don't know, it's like Hot Ones. It's like, whatever. Just go on.
Let me pull out the list of like a billion different accounts that I have.
Yeah.
You can. Okay, let me find them real quick, and you could probably just cut to when I actually find everything.
I'll cut ahead to that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. After you do the last dab on this podcast,
the last.
you gotta promote your shit.
Chillin ones.
Yeah.
The chill ones.
Cold ones. Fuck. That's just Max Mofo and
no. Cold ones is different. This is chill ones.
Where's lukewarm ones?
Okay. I mainly just go by Mollystars in most places. You can find me on YouTube, obviously, at Mollystars with a 0 and not an O, because they took the handle for some reason. Same goes for Twitter.
Fuckers.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. Same goes for Twitter. Mollystars with a 0. Bandcamp is also Mollystars. I have a Newgrounds as well, Mollystars. Tumblr as well. Pretty much just search up Mollystars, you'll probably find me.
Also check the description. I'm just gonna link all of all of our relevant socials.
Yeah, I mainly frequent on YouTube and Twitter, and sometimes Tumblr. If I ever post new music, I'll upload on Bandcamp, and if I ever post new art, I might upload it to Newgrounds or Twitter or just, wherever. There's plenty of places to find me, but generally YouTube and Twitter, those are the essentials.
All right. Epic swag. Let's. Fuck! I ruined the fucking podcast. Like that. All right. Bye.